Well, good morning. It's still morning, and so thank you for being here. So let me just start off by saying this. So more than a decade now, those of us outside the political establishment have been warning the elected officials, as well as the media, that the quality of life in Minnesota has been declining significantly. And the metrics are there. Some of the highest taxes in the country, anemic job growth, declining household income, a culture in fraud and corruption that's become a national embarrassment. But that's not all. We have record levels of crime in Minneapolis that's been a shadow of itself in former years. Now, we can't be a great state without a thriving Twin Cities to be an economic and cultural hub that it used to be. We can't be a great state without a great Twin Cities. Now, despite these warnings, the situation has gotten worse. The political class, including members of our own political party here in the Republican Party, continue to respond with status quo solutions and status quo candidates. That's why, in my search for lieutenant governor, I made an intentional decision, an unconventional choice, and I brought him here today to introduce him to you. Brian Nicholson and I both have lived what we call the American dream in our own ways. We come from different walks of life, but we have arrived at the same destination. Two men from the business world who are tired of watching the political class fail our state. We are determined to fight for Minnesota's future and restore it to its place we love, and be able to call it what we once called it before, proud to call it home. So ladies and gentlemen, with that said, I'd like to introduce you to the next Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Minnesota, Brian Nicholson.
Well, good morning. I'm here with you this morning as an unlikely candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Political office is not something that I've ever aspired to, but this once great state that raised me has become unrecognizable. And for years, like many of us, I've shaken my head in disbelief, hoping and praying that someone would step forward to help fix this. Kendall Qualls has done exactly that. And when Kendall asked me to join the ticket, I knew that my time for waiting had ended. So out of a deep sense of duty and a love for the place that we call home, I've decided to step forward, and I'm proudly standing with Kendall on this ticket. This is a state where our memories were forged, where we raised our families and built everything we hold dear. But it's also become the national embarrassment that's totally unfamiliar and deeply broken. We've been told to accept this as the new normal, but I reject that. Kendall rejects that. And when he asked me to stand with him, I knew that the time for waiting and hoping had to end. It's not too far gone for Kendall, and it's not too far gone for me. I'm stepping forward not for notoriety, but because it must be done. I'm here today as a lifelong Minnesotan, a husband who's moved his family further from the city to stay further from crime, a father who's pulled my children out of public school so that they would get an education instead of an indoctrination, and a businessman who's felt the crushing rate of taxes, regulations that make it harder for hardworking Minnesotans to live the life that they've earned. I'm stepping out from the silent majority who know that our state has fallen from its former glory. And this election will decide Minnesota's future, a future where we either hide from the shame of what our state has become, quietly shaking our heads in disgust as the fraud, corruption, and failed policies wash away the sturdy foundations which have been built over generations, or we stand together and boldly reclaim the future that's filled with hope and opportunity. In this country and in this state, the leaders we choose must remember that the government serves the people. And when we, the patient and silent majority, demand that order, we break free from the grip of insiders who have turned our trust into their gain. Minnesotans have whispered our frustrations long enough. Kendall and I have chosen a path of action out of an enduring and unshakable drive to help this state. We share a clear vision guided by these common sense principles. Number one, we must have safety in our streets. No parent should fear for their child's safety walking home alone. education that empowers our kids rather than twisting their young minds while keeping their parents in the dark, lifting the suffocating burdens of government so that businesses and institutions can build and innovate and prosper without apology, and ending the outright theft of billions of dollars, because that's not just money, that's our sweat and our dreams stolen from us. Bold executive leadership matters deeply, but it's not enough. We must also lift like-minded legislators to forge the drastic changes we desperately need. I'm a Christian man, a sinner saved by the grace of God. I've been married to my wonderful wife for almost 20 years, a bond that's taught me what true love is. I'm a father to our 3 teenage children who amaze me every day, and they're an ever-present reminder of what's at stake here. As a businessman, leader, innovator, and problem solver, my partners and I have started and run dozens of businesses, manufacturing firms, media ventures, real estate, and construction outfits, which have created nearly 1,000 jobs right here in this state and have created hundreds of millions of dollars of value. In each one, we identified a need, built strong teams, and innovated. And we did that in spite of the hurdles that were in our way at almost every turn. Until recently, I've been doing what most Minnesotans are doing. I'm pouring my energy into work and family, shuttling kids to sports and activities, tightening a family budget to make ends meet, while trusting that our system would hold. But no more. The ache of what's been lost pulls at me, and the promise of a fair shot, the warmth of community, and the fading legacy of a proud state are too raw for me to ignore. Today, I'm making the same call as Kendall Qualls. Join us to save Minnesota. There is hope, raw and resilient, because Minnesota isn't lost. She's wounded, but her spirit endures in all but a few noisy and extreme ideologues that cling to power. Friends, now is our time to step forward. Join us in restoring decency and normalcy, not as a slogan, but as fundamental truths. Our success here will be measured in years, not months, when our grandchildren look back at this moment and say, this is when Minnesota remembered who she was, and when we, the silent majority, decided to step up and save her. Thank you.
So you can see why I chose Brian. He succinctly put into words what a lot of us feel that are not involved in politics. But the question might come, well, you guys have never been in politics. How are you going to do this? How are you going to get this done? Well, we have an advisory board of former legislators, and the president of that advisory board, Roger Chamberlain, is with us today. He's going to say a few words. Then after Roger, we'll open up for any questions that you might have. Roger?
Good morning. Just a few seconds about my background. I had the honor and privilege of serving in the Minnesota State Senate for 12 years. In that time, I had the honor to also serve as chair of the Senate Tax Committee, and 4 years as the Senate Tax Committee, and 2 years as chair of the Education Committee. I also had the opportunity during that time to serve in various capacities on the Minnesota Senate Republican leadership team. So, a breath of fresh air. To me, the Qualls-Nicholson team is the right team for the time. It is a breath of fresh air. The right team for this time, their love for this country, this state, the people, the culture, compelled them to jump into this political arena. That is not an easy decision. Never is, but especially today. So they're the right team. Serious, true, proven leadership. The right team to renew, to restore, to rebuild, and move this state forward again. The right team to renew confidence, to restore our educational excellence in this state, save communities, to bring us back to opportunity, prosperity, and affordability. In short, they're the right team to fix the problems that have so sadly broken this state. So I'm happy to support and endorse, I'm excited to support and endorse the Qualls-Nicholson team to lead this state as the next governor and lieutenant governor of the great state of Minnesota. Thank you.
So, Brian, please join me. So I'm going to open it up for questions that you might have from the media as it relates to the ticket, where we're going forward, from me and/or Brian.
Brian, could you just be a little bit more specific about your background? Like, what's your most recent company? There's a lot of people with your name on LinkedIn. So, how old are you? What town do you live in? What's your most recent business venture or current business venture?
Yeah, sure. There aren't just one venture going on at a time. So there are a variety of holdings in construction and real estate and manufacturing. So we'll make sure we get a list out here with some of those details. I'm 38 years old. I live in Minnetrista.
You said that you think this is a two-person race in the endorsement primary process of Republicans. What would you say policy-wise? I know you're coming from a non-elected official. What policy-wise separates you from Speaker Damon, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I think our objectives are different. I'm running to help rescue this state. I'm not running for a political office. We can't achieve what we want to accomplish in this state by just winning the governor's seat. And I've said this on the campaign trail. I'm running to help us win our first trifecta since 1969. Democrats have a one-seat majority in the Senate. We're tied in the House. We can't do the things we need to do to roll things back, to put things back to normal by just running for governor and just winning the governor's seat. It's not enough. That's like going to Olympics and getting the bronze medal and being happy and satisfied with that. It won't change anything. The trajectory of people leaving this state will continue. The businesses will continue to leave. And with the businesses leaving, the jobs go with it, and the people go with it. So we have to win the first trifecta that we've had in our lifetime.
Now, what's your history together? Like, how long have you guys known each other?
Well, I joke to tell people we didn't meet on a dating app. I was actually, when I've been on a campaign trail touring, I was just multi-generational farmers, factories, manufacturing facilities, construction sites. I met Brian on one of those tours. And he actually expressed at the end of that tour, let me know what I can do to help. He says it to all the politicians coming through. And I had a conversation with him 2 weeks afterwards.
Can you talk about the qualities you were looking for in a lieutenant governor candidate? Were you looking for another outsider?
Absolutely. I was looking for someone outside politics and looking for a leader, problem solver, results-oriented, and cared enough and had the courage to step out of their comfort zone to help rescue our state. One of the things I wanted to have here, I didn't have, we were at a cusp of losing this state economically. The information's been out there by the Chamber of Commerce and others, other institutions that actually have metrics on this state. For the last 20 years, there's been a steep decline on every metric you can measure economically in our state. Right now, household income growth, we're number 46 out of 50 states. If we're going to be, and literally, so if at this point, we're at a point where you hit the emergency button and basically break the glass. We need someone from outside politics to fix what's happening in our state, or it will become a one-party state, much like California and Illinois.
Is Brian going to travel state with you going forward to events?
We're going to go together and separately. We're going to cover the state and as much as we can, and we're going to do so independently of each other and then together and all that. He makes me look younger, so I'm going to try to get him to come along with me as much as I can.
So, Brian, it sounds like you've obviously never run for office before. Have you been involved in local Republican Party chapters or supported other campaigns or other things to dip your toes in the
Nothing.
political waters? Okay.
Nothing.
So what made you interested in taking on this
Well,
role?
it's really, as I mentioned, I would not describe this as an interest. This is not something that is the start of a political career. that I have always dreamed of. Kendall had to do a little arm twisting here to get me to do this, and there was a lot of prayer and a lot of thought that went into making this decision. But I think I certainly would not equate myself to a soldier who puts themselves in harm's way. That's a way bigger sacrifice than I will have ever made in my life. But it's in the same direction. And so if people like me who have the ability to lead and who have, which is just a God-given gift to be able to lead, won't step up when they're asked, then what hope do we have? And it's from a place very close to that I decided to say yes to this, and I'm excited that I did. I'm excited about the difference that I can make, but this is not a like to do. This is a need to do for me and for my family, and that drive, I think, is part of the difference that separates where we're coming from and what we're doing.
Let me just add on to this real quick, and Brian, if you would, share some of the same things you share with me. From the business perspective, we're on the front row of what's wrong and what's happening in our state. We see what's leaving. We see where the investment dollars are going that most Minnesota, the public doesn't see. They won't see it until 5 years till it's too late. So why don't you share some of the things that you and I discussed around that?
Sure. So there are a good many real estate related, construction related projects that I'm involved in, and the willingness for the investor community to participate in investments in Minnesota is substantially impaired. And it's impaired because they have a choice. They could choose to invest money here in the state, or they could choose to invest it somewhere else that doesn't have the same political noise and risk that we carry with us here. And that is real. Many of my friends have already left the state. Many of them are in the process of moving their businesses with them. Many more are on the cusp, waiting and hoping that they can find a reason not to. And we got to grab onto that like right now, because it's a crisis and it's urgent, and that's a big part of what drives me to this.
Sorry, just to clarify, how long ago did you meet each other? You said on one of your tours. How long ago was that?
In October.
Oh, okay.
Have you thought ahead of, if you were elected, would you have to end your business practices, divest, have you thought through that?
Yeah, there are a couple different ways. I have many different holdings. So yeah, there will have to be a change in some things that we'll get there when we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
What do you envision as a lieutenant governor? How would you govern? What would the office look like in your mind?
Yeah, Kendall and I have had a lot of conversations about all the ways that we need to fix this state. There are so many places that we need to focus time and energy. We haven't divvied up exactly who's going to grab onto which initiatives yet, but we share the values of what needs fixing. We share the priorities, many of which I described in my talk, that are at the forefront of our minds about what we need to get moving in the right direction ASAP.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I've heard from many candidates, things that need fixing. My question is, do you have a list of how you're going to go about fixing them? Do you already have an action plan as to what you're going to do?
I would say we have an outline of what we want to do, and the priority list. But one of the things is we got to convey to swing voters in the state. These are people that are suffering from a lot of the same things that really span beyond political parties. Economic concerns, pocketbook concerns are the number one issue, affordability. You think about young people that want to get started in life, want to buy their first home. A home here in Minnesota on average is $40,000 more than the neighboring Democrat state of Wisconsin. So affordability is absolutely critical. Number two, the crime issue is, again, transformative. It doesn't matter which political party. We got to get that under control. Right now it's not. And then lastly, our kids deserve a decent education. Listen, you guys know my background growing up in poverty, broken home. Having gotten a public school education in inner city New York, and then later in a trailer park, living in a trailer park with my father in Oklahoma, I got enough of an education to be competitive in Fortune 100 companies today. Our kids are not getting the level of education I received growing up in the 70s in those locations. We're undermining their future, their competitive future, and parents want something better. So those are the three basic issues, and then lastly, wrap around that is the leadership between the two of us to ensure that this fraud never happens again. And there's accountability that goes with it.
So Brian, presumably you identify as a Republican because you're running for the Republican nomination. Have you always identified as a Republican? Have you been independent in the past? Like, tell us a little bit more about your own political history and
Sure, yep, I am a Republican. I always have been a Republican. I'm a conservative through and through.
This is a real pie in the sky concept, but I have been thinking about it and threatening it to myself and my daughter. Okay, all of these things that are going on right now, I'm thinking, you know, all of our tax dollars are going in, not only state but federally, and we keep paying and paying and paying and paying, and things are not getting done statewide or federally wise. And I'm just thinking, is there some type of legislation that we can come up with that, let's say, if the people who are on the streets, let's say our law enforcement, they're on the streets, they're still providing us security, that if they don't get funded to do their job, we don't pay our taxes. Like I said, pie in the sky.
Well, here's what we can tell you. Just coming back from my background, and Brian, I'll let you speak for yourself. From the business community in the marketplace, it's always fluid and very competitive. You have to be innovative, and you have to restructure your organization and your strategy to meet the moment, if you will. We're not meeting the moment. Government never meets the moment. And it does the same thing it always does regardless. We're going to be doing some very innovative and restructuring things here once we get elected to make it more efficient, effective, and I would say a desirable place to live. I think in less than 18 to 24 months, it'll be a transformative place that people will be desired to come back and live here again and raise their families here.
I'm concerned with what happened earlier this year when some legislators didn't even show up for their job. We can't do that at our levels. We can't do that. We get paid, we have to show up. So I'm thinking, can we take it down to a more of a, well, that's all. That's just my question.
Sure, I think it's easy to agree that what we need is more leaders and less legislators. I think that's easy to agree with.
Or just do the job that you are being paid to do. Very simply, just do the job you're being paid to do.
And that's what, you have two guys that come from the normal world, want to enter a world that's not normal.
So just a question moving forward. Obviously, you guys are here today announcing the ticket. Convention still needs to happen, is coming up. Things can and do happen at convention. Just confirming, like, this is it. You guys are sticking together no matter what happens at the endorsing convention. You're not going to, like, switch LGs or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
I don't know if that was a thing in the past, but no, this,
Just moving, you know, I also
Yeah,
think things
yeah.
happen at convention
no.
when people are vying for the endorsement. And you're still planning on, can you remind me, are you abiding by the endorsement?
I'm abiding by
You're
the endorsement.
by
I abided by it last time
Okay.
and endorsed Scott Chinson here at the Capitol steps.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Is that it, folks? Anything else? Wrap it up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We got a job to do.